Guys, we have a 12-team Superflex PPR 1.75 for the tight end start 10. Scott, are you going T. Higgins or the 110?
Ooh, T. Higgins was good this year. Then he's got the performance in his back pocket where he was a top 5 receiver, but could also hit free agency. So I actually think there's multiple arguments you could make for why you would want some T. Higgins going into this March, this April, this draft season. 110 is probably one of those picks where you're going to get something people like, but you don't know what it is today. You don't know what position it's going to be. It's probably not going to be a quarterback unless it's one of these quarterbacks you're really stretching to justify drafting. Sure. And there's a lot of running backs that even go into round 2, round 3, even round 4. There's going to be a lot of RBs on a 53. So I actually think I'm fine. This is one of those, I'll just take the player unless I know the flexibility in my league is just, oh my God, any first round pick just can get me to the table to a better deal. I'm fine taking Higgins here.
Which side are you going, man? I'm just going to tee it up again. 12-team Superflex PPR 1.75 for the tight end start 10. Are you going T or the 110, sir?
You know what's funny about this is before the season, if someone said, I will give you a 2025 first for T. Higgins, you would have come all over your own face. Like, that's how excited you would have been. Like, it would have shot straight up right in your eye. But now, yeah, I think I'm taking Higgins off of the top 12 season, even if that top 12 season was built off of one game where he scored 770 points. And more importantly, like Scott said, there's narrative there, right? He's either getting a big contract from the Bengals or he's moving to another roster and presumptively being the wide receiver 1 on that roster. So I'll take Higgins because he's actually more flexible than the pick. He's actually more fungible. I'm not going to hold on to him. I'm going to move him later. So, but I'll hold on to him. The 110's all I'm getting.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, let's do another quick player one, and then we've got a strategy question from Alex. This is from Jalen Ramsey, and I think he said, like, sorry for the boring question, but Breece Hall or the 105? Shane, where you going, man? Let's assume it's our stock format, 12 by 10.
So there's a PPC if it's our stock format. So I'm probably going to I'm just going to take Bryce. I'm just going to take Bryce. I feel like people are going to be too low on him. 105 is not especially low, but I'll take Bryce.
Yeah, Scott, I mean, this may not be the type of trade we'd want to do, but feet to the fire, Bryce or the 105.
Yeah, one or the other. Without going into the I can turn the 1.5 into the 107 and some fairy dust and a 26 first. If I'm just gun to your head, you got to take one or the other.
I think there's a lot of narratives you could argue the pick's more valuable, whether it's a running back or it's just the flexibility of getting another position. I mean, Breece Hall's been good, but he's not really an asset anymore. He's a running back. He's going into his 4th year. You know, he's either been injured or hasn't produced for much of his career. So not that he can't get back to that, but this kind of feels like if I would have told you 2 years ago, 105 or Jonathan Taylor, you'd have been like, oh, Jonathan Taylor, he's a stud, but he's just been good. You know what I mean? He's a good running back. He's going to have a starting job for a while, but I actually think the mystery box might be better here.
Sounds good. All right, let's go to a strategy question from Alex. Thanks as always. Says, do you buy players going into free agency or expecting trades before they land or after? Price could be better if you buy early, but landing spot uncertain. Example, Tyreek and the aforementioned T. Higgins. What do you think? Who wants to go first here?
I think the T. Higgins isn't a good example because anybody that gets asked a question about T. Higgins, it's like, oh, he's going to hit free agency, so I'm excited. I think the players to buy that hit this argument are the ones that people don't expect to move, maybe. Like some lesser free agent running backs, maybe guys that you're like, oh, that guy will never. Najee Harris, right? He's a free agent. He's probably going to go somewhere else. That's probably one that people are going to talk about getting another landing spot. Same with Javonte Williams. There's other running backs that are also going to be free agents, and people are going to go, oh, that guy's dead if he's a free agent. And then what if he's not? So I think there's other free agents out there that people will say that it's bad that they're a free agent because they don't know where they're going to land, yet they're probably going to have some sort of attachment because of that argument used for their value when it happens. I think Higgins is already past that. So I said that in a lot of words, but I don't think it matters if people are already, the dynasty market is efficient enough where the obvious free agents are already being priced like, ooh, that guy's going to be a free agent. So right. I want to see where he lands first, or I don't like that he's going to go to another team. And so I don't want to buy him. So I think some of them, they're already milked in.
What matters is that these assets become, I mean, we've got a couple good players here, but there's always liquidity that comes with any kind of news, any kind of movement. At least they then become a live asset, whether you're buying, selling, what have you.
I think that's a great point, Clay. It's not even that you're getting more. It's that when it's March 15th and everybody's talking about free agency, the random receiver or running back that signed somewhere is going to be on people's mind. It's going to be being talked about out there in the content space. You know what I mean? Like random players, like when Mike Williams got signed by the Jets, it was like, okay, he's now in a spot where he's going to have a narrative. He had no value for 2 years before that. You know what I mean? Like there's tons of receivers as good as Mike Williams that are parked on teams where they're their wide receiver 3 or 4 and no one cares. But he goes to a new spot. It's like, ooh, okay, I can get excited. So a player that isn't good just landed somewhere and now he's in the news where somebody goes, here, I'll give you a 4th. I'll give you a 3rd. Like that's where free agency can help you.
And it happens to be the Rodgers owner or something. There's just some kind of movement. Shane, what do you think about Alex's question here? Buying players going into free agency or expecting trades before they land or after?
I mean, the prices wouldn't change on either of these dudes, really. I mean, Higgins might bump a little bit, but the expectation's already that he's going to land somewhere else. Tyreek Hill's a 31-year-old wide receiver
who's fixed his marriage, apparently.
Oh, well, good for him. Good for him. Well, that's why he needs to move out of Miami.
Theoretical marriage with the Dolphins.
Did he get changed?
Oh, they fixed that already?
Apparently the Dolphins kind of have said it's not a big deal, but I'm not speaking of his actual marriage. I have no clue about that.
I thought maybe that's why he had to move out of Miami to save his marriage, which I could understand. If you were rich and famous and you lived in Miami, there could be temptations that aren't good for your marriage. I don't particularly care when it comes to these two players. I mean, I don't mean to cop out, but it's going to be a player by player evaluation for me. In general, I think I would rather pay for the known than the unknown. So I guess I would prefer to pay now.
Sounds like a plan. Okay, let's first off, we've been saying start 8, start 9, what have you. What we mean there is how many you start in your roster each week, not including kicker and defense. So start 8, start 9, that's shallow. You want to consolidate your depth typically and get a hammer. You'll hear that word as well. Deeper formats like start 11 and all. Mike Williams is the kind of guy who might be in a flex in your roster. So he's relevant in that case. All right, let's keep rolling here. Let's see. Yeah, let's move to this. Hunter Meek. How do I convince my commissioner to turn on trades in my league? It's past the deadline, obviously.
So we mean like, Shane, it's the off season and trades aren't on? I mean, what is this?
I just leave.
This isn't Dynasty.
I just leave the fucking league. That's how I convince them. Like, I'm taking 5 of the other members with me that don't want to be treated like fucking children, and we're leaving the league. And I hope in your next league, commish, that you're not such a douchebag that you have trades off. This is probably a league with vetoes, and the commission is like, I don't feel like being dealt with. I don't want to deal with this in the off season. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I dealt with it in the season. Again, all you can do is, I guess, how many trades does your league usually make? Is it inactive?
I was going to say,
I would point this out to the commission, like, hey, you know what would be fun is if we had a fantasy football league, but it was year round. Hence us being in a dynasty league. So, I mean, just.
What's the downside? Like, why wouldn't it be on right now? Scott, you have thoughts on this? You've got a smirk on this.
I mean, honestly, I can't think of why it would be off. I mean, normally if you have a trade deadline, it turns back on when the season ends. Maybe there's some rule where like there's a league mandated break from the end of the season to the Super Bowl or something like that. And it's just expected that everybody kind of does nothing. But I don't think you should bar other people from wanting to do stuff. Just maybe the league isn't that active during these month or 2 period of time when there's no games. But like, I'm actually more aggressive, Shane. Can I get most of the other managers to just like mutiny on the commish and just get rid of the commish? We just keep the league and fill one team instead of
a coup.
All of us leaving and starting a new league. Can we just kick the commish out?
Hostile takeover. I like that. Yeah, the hostile takeover. First, you present your demands, and if he fails to meet them or she, you leave.
I think
Does Shane have circles in his eyes?
Yeah, it's his rig light. We could see off
No,
the
it's not.
reflection. It's kind of funny.
I try to line them up. Look, I can line them up.
There's literally
With your
like alien
pupils.
eyes right now.
I can line them up perfectly.
That's good. That's good. We got 3 hammers from Adam Walker over at buymeacoffee.com/trades in 5. We used to do our streams where it was all hammers. We had them preloaded. We're not doing that anymore. We're still answering hammers over there, and we can hit them on live streams where possible. We have a handful for tonight. Adam, thank you for the 3 from you, sir. Scott, we'll start with you. This is a 12-team Superflex PPR 1.5 for the tight end, start 9. He says in QB hell has A-Rich, Watson, and backups, Ken Walker and Trash at running back, AJ Brown, Lamb, Marv, Addison, and Reed at wide receiver, and Njoku at tight end. Adam has the 106 and all the others, including 226 firsts. What QB should I be targeting in a trade with that 106, especially with it being a weaker QB draft class? What do you think here, Scott? Again, it's a 12-team, start 9, so pretty shallow, very small tight end premium. QB hell, A-Rich, Watson. How can he get a better one with that 106?
Yeah, I mean, it's a 12-by-9, so taking a shit at one of the QB positions is not going to be a good feeling, right? You do want to address it. I don't think you have to be as binary, though, as I have to get it with the 106 pick. Like, I'm still fine just going best player available. You obviously have assets at receiver. Now, I think what you really have to ask yourself, is this a team that's winning a title in a start 9 when you also have running back problems, assuming you don't have a bunch of backup running backs? This is the prototypical, Clay, where you should just be rostering every running back and every backup quarterback, because those are clear weak spots. You have a good receiver core. You have a starting tight end. You have the 2 firsts next year. And then you have a pick this year where you look at, I'm going to get a starting player, but I don't know exactly what it's going to be yet. So I'm fine just going best player available. I'm not going to let my league tell me that because they know my quarterbacks suck, that they're going to charge me the 106 for, that I'm going to have to pay that for like the Geno Smith type. You know what I mean? Like the bottom end of the QB2 range. You know what? I'll just beat you with my roster construction until I fix it organically. That doesn't mean don't take a shot at quarterback, but if the best player on the board is a running back or a receiver, I'm taking them. And you can then wait and see if you have any holes that might open up where there's a trade down the road, where maybe I could flip Jaden Reed in a second for a quarterback late closer to the season, something like that. But I'm not stressing it right now. Otherwise, you make it exactly known what you're trying to do, and nobody's going to trade you a quarterback that you think is worth the 106, and they're probably not going to leave you one either. So I would just say I'm going to address it when it comes, because I'm not even sure this team's a title winner, Shane.
And that's what's nice. He's got 226 first as like a little buffer already in his back pocket. What do you think, Shane?
Not when both your quarterbacks are an issue. You know what I mean? We can survive when one quarterback is an issue, but we know Watson isn't going to play next year, basically. Whether that's because the Browns are telling him to be injured or whatever. I don't really know what's going on there. It's weird, but he's probably not going to end up playing next year, right? He had a setback with his Achilles, allegedly, so that the Browns can collect some insurance. A-Rich is very much a question mark. If you wanted to ship the 106, I definitely wouldn't be using it on a quarterback in this draft. Maybe Caleb Williams. You know what I mean? I might go for a quarterback that someone's not particularly high on because, they were only QB 21 as a rookie.
Yeah, Shane, can I get anybody that has a top 8 ceiling with that pick?
Yeah,
here's the thing about Richardson. He actually fits this team perfect.
Yeah, I was about to say,
because if he shits the bed, then my team just has a better pick. You know what I mean?
Like
exactly.
But he could be a top 10 quarterback if he plays. He's a top 12 quarterback if he doesn't fail.
I'll tell you what, I'd like to add Justin Fields to this roster.
How cheap can I get him?
Yeah, give me Justin Fields. I'll throw him on the bench. I'll trade for Caleb Williams. Or if I can't trade for, a quarterback like that, specifically probably Caleb, I'm probably just going to make the pick. And if it's a running back, so be it. If it's a wide receiver, so be it. There's no reason to reach for a quarterback that I don't like. And it's probably not going to change the outcome of my season.
So here, real quick, here's, I think, what a lot of people would say if they saw this roster, right? Someone asked this question. People are just answering it in the community. Shane, would you give up the 106 and you get back Brock Purdy or Tua Tagovailoa?
No.
Because don't they feel like they're just giving you placeholder production? And
especially Tua. I could see the story for Brock being better than that.
I could see Brock. I was going to ask Bryce Young, like, is he worth that for you yet?
Not the one
to go that high. No, you got to get something back.
It feels like if you're paying for one of those like non-top 10, top 12 quarterbacks, that you are buying one because it just fills a hole. But if they're on the bottom end of that production curve, then you paid for fake security. That you know who's got a nice, long, secure future? Trevor Lawrence. But he might give you quarterback 15 to 18 numbers. So what did you actually get? Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love has more upside, but what has he shown that he's ever a top 10 scorer? You know what I mean? Like, it's been in very short spurts, but that's obviously not how Green Bay wants to play. So I'm not paying for one of the guys unless I go, if shit breaks right, you know, Anthony Richardson's a top 10 quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, can I get a cheaper guy that fits that bill versus the alternative? Maybe Joe Milton. Milton.
How about Drake May? He's probably too pricey.
If you can get,
you got to add a 26 first to that 106 to get Drake May.
I'm always assuming there's going to be something else like included, but yeah, using that 106.
I don't know how I feel about it. I like Drake May a lot. I don't know how I feel about giving up 2 firsts for him. Like he showed that I think,
especially with that roster, you have like 6 assets, and if you burn 2 firsts and Drake May is quarterback 15, your team is no better.
Or if you quarterback 10,
I'm not giving 2 firsts. I'm just saying. I was picturing Drake May on that team. I was going through my head trying to think of quarterbacks that fit like an upside kind of. You know.
But I like the Bryce Young too, but not for 106. Like if I have an extra second, can I give a second for Bryce Young? Can I add Justin Fields to this roster? Like just keep adding quarterbacks like that. And if one of them pops, great. If one of them doesn't, whatever. We move on and draft another one next year.
Would you pay it for 2 guys that are not young, but have probably had one of their best, if not their best fantasy season? Would you pay that for Jared Goff?
No.
Baker Mayfield?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I would pay for Baker.
I'm there.
But that's probably
Sunday, though.
Of the guys in that range that somebody that has him is saying, I'll just take the 106, because the person getting the 106 is going to go, unless they have 4 quarterbacks, they're going to go, well, I can't replace Baker with the guy that's going to be there, so I'm not going to do it. So it's really hard to make that deal, I think.
It is. Okay, let's do this. Let's move to a question from Ahoff. Strategy question. If you had a choice of what position you could draft from in a startup, where would you choose? So this is often called a derby draft, derby selection. You run we'll get into that stuff in an actual strategy video or a startup video. But what spot are you picking? Let's assume it's a 12-teamer, Shane. Super flex, tight end premium.
Yeah, really interesting. I just while you were reading that question, I'm just going to answer a question that has nothing to do with that. I was just looking up Jared Goff. He's gotten better the 3 past years. He was QB 22, QB 14, or QB something like that, and then QB 7, QB 11. He went from QB 22 to 11 to 7. So I guess by this time next year he'll be QB 1 if he continues that on. We did this the other night, right? Didn't we do this? I tried to figure out the math, and I think I got it wrong. But I think it's either the 106 or the 107.
Yeah, I think you were in the 107 range. Yeah, and did you recall why?
Yeah,
that would be the most helpful.
It's the monster quarterbacks, right? There's Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. Did I say Josh Allen? No, it wasn't him. Definitely not. Who's the other guy I'm thinking of? There's another guy in there, probably Daniels. He could go up there. He's probably top
Lamar,
5.
Allen, Daniels, and Hurts were the top 4. And then it was like the Burrow, Mahomes, Herbert, those guys, which you were not comfortable drafting them in the first.
Right. So I want those 4. And then there's obviously Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. And then I don't know, is Malik Neighbors in that tier yet? He can't be, right? Because if he is, that means BTJ is. And I'm not comfortable drafting BTJ.
CD Lamb.
You haven't mentioned
CD Lamb. So yeah, it's got.
Now we're at the 110, which is not true. You said the 107, so clearly you had different logic.
But he's trading exactly what he's trading out. He's trading out of the first.
But no. I remember this because I went through this same exercise and I went, yeah. But if I go back to the 110, that means I'm probably getting like CD Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown. or CeeDee Lamb and AJ Brown or
So
something.
someone else will draft Joe Burrow. Someone else will draft Patrick Mahomes. Like someone else will take a quarterback where you don't want. So like you might pick on the turn and you get Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas potentially.
Right. Yes. And then I'd be okay. So probably
now Shane wants the 112.
So go back to the second minute where what happened? What went?
And it's a third round reversal, Shane. Will you take the 112?
Jesus. So the 112, 201, and 212 and 301.
No, you don't get 2 seconds.
Yeah, it takes there's a long way.
Give myself an extra pick. This draft's awesome. I haven't done a startup yet. Right now I'm feeling comfortable. You know what? Anywhere in the first round. How about that? I can make it work anywhere.
I just saw one where the first 9 picks were QBs. So it's like Goff goes before Jamar Chase.
No,
so someone's getting a great deal at the back end. You know what I mean? Because people just chased and Goff could be good, but 9 quarterbacks are not outscoring every receiver. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. So.
I'm just going to stick. I don't want to be 106. That's so vanilla because then it's like you're drafting at the 6th spot every round, which, whatever.
It is easier.
Give me the 101. Give me Josh Allen. Just drive him off the lot. Give me 101.
That's fair. That's fair.
No.
Have you noticed when you pick on the ends, it's harder to move around within the draft?
It is. But yeah, it definitely is. It's different.
Not to Shane. When Shane sees something he wants, it's just
we're just doing it. Yeah.
He moves all over the damn place. That's the truth. There's lots of trading in our listener league startups. And
all right, I have to pick a number.
Yeah,
I am going to go,
go with
109 because I think Malik Neighbors, Jamar Chase, or Justin Jefferson might be there. One of those 3 will probably be there. I don't know if that's gunshots or fireworks. If you see me suddenly,
I'll go with the former.
If you see me suddenly slump over, please call 911.
So here's a question from Max HBO in the crowd. Thank you for the question. It says Jamo and Waddle or Marv. This is a 10-team start 10, and he says Jamo and Waddle are his wide receivers 5 and 6.
Marv.
Yeah, I'm taking Maserati Mario Kart.
I mean, it's 10 by 10, so you're pretty much operating on a very shallow range. So even if Waddle or Jamo could actually outscore Marv, it's possible. But asset-wise, like, give me the 1. I can easily now flip Marv and get a Malik Neighbors. I probably have to add a decent amount, but I can't. You know what I mean? It starts the conversation, Jamo and Waddle are just probably seen as extras in that league.
I don't. Jamo, I will say this, and it pains me, but Jamo's a nice asset in this type of league, right? Because he's the dude that could give me
number guy
in weeks. Yeah, like I actually value him more than I do Waddle.
You were just paused.
Was he like frozen and stoned at the same time?
Super,
it was like,
it was more than just canon. That's for sure.
To Shane's point, though, if you have Jamo in a league like that, you're actually misusing him by just having him on your bench, which is probably what the team that's trying to trade him away is doing. So they're like never playing him when he has a good week because it's too shallow. So if you can't trade him and you're getting nothing for him, to both your points, carve out a spot where you just start him. I bet you have a receiver or 2 that you think is way better than him. That's maybe a little more consistent, but like in the aggregate, not helping you win more weeks. You know what I mean?
Right. Good point.
Just looking it up because I don't feel like listening to you guys talk, but in 17 games, he had 4 top 10 starts, 4 top 10 weeks. It felt like it was more than that, but that's all it was.
Yep. Because you don't like him. No, wait, you would have assumed left. Look at how frozen you are. It's great. Yeah, I hope doesn't end up being gunshots. Yeah, that wouldn't be good. All right, someone got us a hammer. Thank you very much. Over at buymeacoffee.com/trades-in-5. This is a 12-team Superflex PPR 1.5 for the tight ends, start 8. So a shallow format here, 4 point per passing touchdown. Lamar, Geno, Penix at quarterback. Achane, Connor, Warren, Eckler at running back. JJ, Neighbors, Puka at Sutton and Mooney. And then Bowers and Kittle at tight ends.
For a minute there, I thought that was Joe.
Very stressed.
What was
Bowers
Bo's
and
name
Kittle.
from Kansas City? Dwayne
Oh,
Bowe. I
Dwayne
thought that was
Bowe?
Dwayne Bowe for a moment. Yeah, there you go. Dwayne Bowe.
Oh
Sorry.
man. So we have Bowers and Kittle at tight end, the 112, 204, 207, 212. Says comfortably won this year. What is the best way to manage the picks? Stay gross at QB2 and upgrade running backs, or upgrade QB2. Was offered Stroud for the 112, 204, and a 26 first. Let's start with that one. Which side, Stroud or the 112, 204, and a 26 first? Comfortably won. Okay. We're assuming giving a late 26 first, hopefully.
It's probably not
The only
good
way I'm
price.
doing that is if I can get Stroud and then turn around and actually sell him to somebody that thinks he's a truly elite quarterback, because he's actually worse than the guys you have if you just go based on their production last year. You know what I mean? Like you're not
Lamar,
upgrading, except for on paper you're upgrading, but the paper doesn't actually get spent if you can not turn Stroud into something actually better. So no on that deal. I think that second deal is...
Yeah, let me read it real quick, Scott. And this is a 12-team start 8 again. You're giving the 112 and 204 for Baker.
Yeah, I'm fine doing that, but
I
then
like
you
that.
probably like turn around and try to trade Penix for a future first, or you know what I mean? Like you're getting rid of the other quarterbacks you have. You don't need 3 starters. You definitely don't need 4 starters. So immediately, if you can do that deal, can you get a 26 first for Penix? And then you go, I traded the 112 and 204 for a 26 first, and I upgraded Penix to Baker. That's what I'm doing that second deal if I can flip one of the QBs I have.
Yeah, I can dig it. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, let me hide this one right here and move on. Let's go to I thought this was interesting. What if you start it from CC? And is that like 2 pieces of firewood there, or is that ribs?
I thought it was
can't really
bacon.
tell. I'm hungry. Is it?
Definitely looks like
I'm going ribs.
definitely some beef. Yeah, it's not firewood. Looks too good to be firewood, even from far away.
It'd be like quite random. I guess maybe the beef is too. But anyway, looks delicious. CC, thank you for the question. Interesting question. How can you disrupt your league economy in 2025? Who wants to tackle this one?
What do you think,
Shane's
Shane?
yawning.
Shane does it every once in a while by accident. I don't think that was the goal, but he'll make a big trade and it will definitely shift the value of picks, or
it's
usually picks.
Yeah, off season isn't usually when I do this, right? It's usually like in season where it's like, fuck it, I'm selling. Like I'm done. This league, this team's done. So I'm moving everything. And then everyone else that's trying to tank to the bottom is like, oh, fuck me, I got to get out now. In the off season, I mean, I'm pretty much doing that earlier this year, right? I actually have a video coming out tomorrow about a middling team. And what I'm doing with those is, I'm taking a hard look at them, being honest with myself and going, and less of, everything breaking right next year. Is this a championship team? And if it's not, how do I get it out of this 6, 7, 8 range, right? Not the 4, 5, 6 range. I can live in there, but like that, like you're barely on the cusp of the playoff. You probably could make it, or you might not make it. It's a coin flip. I'm just making moves right now, selling off players on that roster for picks. Now, I don't know if that's going to disrupt the league economy. Now, there's another league. Well, there is one league where I traded Nix and Trey McBride for like the 102, 108, and another first next year, something like that. But I don't know. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know how else you do it other than just making huge ass trades, because like little trades aren't going to make a ripple, are they?
Yeah, you have to trade the untradeable, like you're saying, like trading Nix and McBride. Those are valuable pieces right now. So it's showing that you're trading value, but that's not disrupting the league economy. Do you have thoughts on this, Scott?
I mean, the only other thing I could do with that, I'm sorry, Scott, I'm just going to continue talking because I feel like it. Now, I also have BTJ in that league, right? So say I trade BTJ for 2 firsts in this draft. I guess then I'm kind of messing with the economy, because then instead of having 4 first-round draft picks, I have 6. And now I have a little bit of a blockade on the draft, the rookie draft. So when people actually do come around to like this class, they're going to have to come to me for 50% of the draft picks.
Yeah, I think the way to do it right now, if we're talking 2025, is probably start hoarding 2026 picks. If you get half the first next year, you've effectively probably changed the way those picks are viewed. It may change decisions other managers make to go, I'm not even going to bother with next year because you already hold most of the draft. So it'll change maybe how 27 picks are valued. Or we have a couple leagues like that where so many picks have been traded that like a 27 second is more appealing because that's the only pick you can get in the league, right? I also think if you really wanted to be bold, if you have Brock Bowers going in trading for Trey McBride, overpay. If you have Josh Allen, go trade for Jaden Daniels, and like you have now taken a big gamble because you probably paid a lot, but you've now taken a gamble going, I'm going to be the one team in the league that has the elite tight ends. I'm going to be the one team in the league that has Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts because nobody else is probably going to be able to get Lamar and Daniels or whoever else you have in that tier. Even if you have two other quarterbacks in there, the odds that they're on one other team is low. So it's like you have
the market.
You have a unique team that nobody else is really going to be able to match. And it changes the economy because now, those assets are less likely to move, I think, because you've kind of hoarded something scarce.
Yeah, good stuff there. Let's go to a starred one from Trey Buckets. I like it. Baltimore Ravens fan already. So let's see. Was it chat? What was this? The first word. I'm off on the first word. So 12-team PPR, 1.75 for the tight ends. Tua and Penix or Darnold, the 111 and 301. Let's assume it's a start 10, 12 by 10. Tua and Penix or Darnold, the 111 and the third.
I'm taking Samuel and the 111. I take either Darnold or the 111 over Tua. I would definitely take Darnold over Penix. Though Penix has looked good. I can't believe I'm saying I would take Darnold. This is, again, how 6 months changes the world. But he's going to be somewhere next year. Well, I'm frozen again. All right, I'm leaving.
You're just several words behind.
Your audio.
All good.
Anybody that's reading lips is
you're fine.
Success. No, you're good. We got what you're talking about.
Well, I assume this
we'll
podcast,
keep laughing at you, but it's going to be dropped on Spotify and
Braille,
Apple Pod.
Right?
Now you're good. Now you're caught up. You've caught up to yourself.
Thank you. So anyway, I'm going to take the Darnold side.
What are you taking, Tua and Penix or Darnold, the 111 and the 301, Scott?
Yeah, this is one of those where I'd probably rather have the 111 only because I think I could do more with it. And all the quarterbacks are basically the same to me. So maybe Penix has the most value of the three, but I actually think Tua has the least of the three. So it's probably like the team that is trading for Tua and Penix wants the safety of two QBs, but I don't necessarily think they're buying job security maybe to a degree, but they're not probably buying any sort of positional advantage. I'd rather have the pick. I can replace that. I can replace Tua's production way cheaper, put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So Dak Freaks from the crowd says, what do y'all think of Roshon for Roman Wilson? I got Wilson.
You got fleeced, man. Just because Roman Wilson did absolutely nothing. He's probably... Shane, have you been impressed with the Steelers offense? Ever?
No.
How about the third or fourth option on the offense?
Yeah, like Calvin, he couldn't get past Calvin Austin.
The point is, Calvin Austin is the kind of guy that is in his way to even be adequate at something. You know what I mean? And it's not, I liked Roman Wilson, but the bottom line is he's a zero. He was even healthy at times and still couldn't play. And do I like Roshon Johnson? Not really. Is there a shot Roshon Johnson is even replaced as the backup running back? Yes. But you know what? He's a running back on a rookie deal that's not awful. So I'd just much rather have that than any of Roman Wilson, Jermaine Burton, Javon Baker, Malachi Corley. Like, I don't even want those guys. Give me a running back that's alive over all of those players.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But it was a low impact trade. We're talking about Roman Wilson and Roshon Johnson. So it's
I can't imagine you're kicking yourself next year when like Roshon Johnson goes off for 1,500 yards. I don't think that's going to happen.
Those are sneaky deals. If you look at your team and you go, what the hell do I do with Javon Baker? It's like, well, if you can get a running back or a backup quarterback, I'd rather have that than
definitely
a receiver that I don't know what to do with.
So you'd rather have like Raheem Mostert even than a rando receiver like that.
I mean, I'd prefer to wait until I've kind of seen where some of the running backs that are in senior citizen homes are landing. But yeah, the idea if Raheem Mostert gets to August and he is on the roster and looks like he will play, then I'd much rather have him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah, that's bottom of the barrel at this point. That's like not quite Zeke Elliott range, but it's like, you know,
we're getting a little gross.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even if he's on a 53, there's no hope.
There's no hope. Okay, Shane has a lot of hope in his eyes. We got 5 hammers from Powerline. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. That's $25 over on Buy Me a Coffee, and it's a much smaller cut, even though we still love the YouTube machine. Powerline, thank you, sir or sirette. 12-team Superflex PPR. Yeah, I don't know. 6 point per passing touchdown, start 9. And I love this. Moving to start 10 and 26. Good for you. Sign of a healthy league there. Shane, you have T-Law, Goff, A-Rich, Penix, Bijan, Kamara, Warren, and Eckler at running back. Chase, Tyreek, Garrett Wilson, BTJ, Adams, Higgins, and more at wide receiver. And then McBride, Goddard, and Sanat is what I'm calling him at tight end. Go Commanders. 101, 111, 205, 207. The second part, he also has a 26 first, 3 seconds, a couple 27 first. Won the league. You guys gave me some great advice early on. First off-season trade, gave the 102, 202, a 26 third, and Jameis Winston, and got BTJ. What are your thoughts first off on that? 12-team Superflex, start 9.
Yeah, my first thought is, so did we give bad advice later on? Because he just says early on. So I don't know if like later on we started giving him bad advice. But so it's a start 9. Is that what it was? Start 9 Superflex. Look, the 102 is a little pricey for BTJ, but I'm willing to pay that in this setup.
Look at your room. Your room. Okay. So Chase, Tyreek, Garrett Wilson, Adams, Higgins, and DJ Moore before that trade.
So I'm sitting now. I'm in the position where unless I can move one of them, I'm sitting one of Garrett Wilson, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Higgins, or DJ Moore every week. Assuming I know how to do math and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it says does say it's moving to a start 10.
That's right.
The important thing is here, he's already got the 101, so he's not at risk of having to not get the player that he wants. He's probably going, I'm taking Genty. It doesn't matter. I think the other reason.
Sorry to cut you off real quick, Scott. Let me just read this last part because oftentimes I'll do that and he may say something. What else would you do with this team? Seeing if I can upgrade at QB, but it's still early in the offseason. May need to wait till closer to the draft. All right, go ahead.
And I was just going to say this. The reason I'd be more comfortable doing the trade for BTJ is because I don't care about the quarterbacks in this draft now. I mean, none of them are upgrades over what you have.
Yeah.
So you already have too many QBs. And to upgrade at one of your QBs, there's, you can upgrade from some uncertainty with your QBs, but I don't think there's a lot of upgrades that are going to be reasonably available in your league. Unless it's like, if you told me that Garrett Wilson, the 102, and Michael Penix is getting you Jalen Hurts or something like that, then okay, I would have maybe done that instead. But I think the way your roster is going, I'm not actually trying to upgrade at QB2 here. If anything, you have too many QB decisions, right? You're going to kick yourself when you start A-Rich over T-Law and T-Law has a good game. You know what I mean? You have a quarterback problem here. The worst thing you could have done is go, well, Cam Ward has more upside than T-Law, so I'm just going to waste the pick on him. Now you have too many assets. If anything,
the 6 point, are you getting rid of A-Rich ideally? I mean, if you're trading,
I don't think you have to. I think you could be flexible.
Them all on the block.
Any of my QBs can get traded here. You know what I mean? And I'm taking Genty. I think if it's me, I'm trying to cash out on one of the receivers that I don't want. Can I move Garrett Wilson? Instead of, you're not moving Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill. They're going to be guys that are more valuable to you than you're ever going to get in a trade. DJ Moore, can I get a 27 first for him? That's a deal. He could leave my roster and I will not miss him at all, right? Because I'm probably going, man, you look back at this team and you go, man, I never started Austin Eckler one time ever. You know what I mean? I never even started Dallas Goedert in the flex. I know it's not necessarily a format to do that, but I think you have too many players here, and you've already traded for another player. So I'm trying to move one of the guys I can maybe get a future first for.
Good stuff. All right. Thanks again for those 5 hammers, power line. Let's just stay in this hammer folder. We got 2 from Jameis Squinston. Thank you very much. Shane, this is a 12-team Superflex, start 10, half PPR, full PPR for the tight ends. It's a mid-activity league. Quarterbacks are Stroud, Tua, and backups. You have at running back Najee, Spears, Allen, and then at wide receiver, Neighbors, BTJ, Waddle, Mooney, Coker, Dell, and C. Watts. And then has Ferguson and Theo Johnson at tight end. The 102, 104, 109, 226 first. He says he's kind of lost on what to do next. No super teams. Everyone feels like they're contenders. Should he go with another QB via the draft or trade? Or should he take best player available? Start buying assets, like proven ones, or is it too soon with that team? What do you think? 12 by 10, Shane, half PPR.
I think we've said, and I know he doesn't know this, but we've said at least 40 times during this stream, this isn't the draft where you're going to be upgrading your quarterback. And if you are, your team's not really built to win anyway. If you're upgrading from something to Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, your team's probably not that good. Sure, I'd love to upgrade my quarterbacks. This is a start 10. Backups, Najee. No, your running backs aren't good enough. You have 2 excellent wide receivers and nothing else. Am I missing anything? 2 excellent.
Are you taking smashing 2 running backs with the 102 and 104? I mean, I guess we'll see. There's so many wide receivers on that team that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, but I mean, outside of, I mean, he has Neighbors and BTJ.
I'm just reading too many things because the RIPs that are left in there.
Yeah,
what do you think?
C-Watt and Dell are going to be on your IR for most of next year. I'm just going best player available, and there's a lot of time between now and the draft for us to figure out who that's going to be. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe the running back 2 and what's probably the wide receiver 2 of the class, probably right in those picks. I'm guessing is what's going to be on the board. Someone's going to take a quarterback because they're going to need it in one of those first 101 or 1. Well, it's going to be Genty, whoever you take, probably a quarterback, and then whoever you take. So you'll be able to get those. No, I don't think you should be buying right now. Unless, how many picks did he have?
I think if anything, you're moving back like to 26 with some of that for me. I don't know. I don't think this team can win, and I'm not sweating losing Neighbors and BTJ's seasons. I don't know. What do you think here? He's got the 102, 104, 109, and 226 first, Shane. Sorry.
So here's how I view a team like this. Can I upgrade at quarterback? Certainly. Can I actually upgrade at quarterback, though? Meaning, like, what do I have to pay on top of Stroud and Tua to go actually upgrade at QB? Like, what if I told you right now, Shane, I can end up with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen? You like that idea, right?
I like that. Yes.
But you have to give up Stroud, Tua, BTJ, and 3 firsts, including the 102 and the 104. Are you doing that?
Stroud, BTJ.
So you take his top 5 assets and give him Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Is that team winning?
No,
because it's done.
Fun weeks,
right?
Man. Have some fun weeks, though. It would.
Right, but I think the point is you have to look at what it would actually cost you to upgrade at quarterback here. And you're stuck with 2 QBs that probably don't have a lot of upside, but you're stuck with them. So you're actually hoping that your 2 QBs swing to the higher end of their ranges of outcomes, and they give you a QB 8 and QB 13. You know what I mean? If you got that, you can win by just not drafting QBs. So, like, I wouldn't even be chasing a quarterback in the draft unless I know somebody is going to actually pay me for one of the QBs I have. If they go, I'll give you the 204 for Tua. It's like, I'll just bet on him. You know what I mean? I don't even think he's great, but I'll just bet on him in that case because I don't have a better deal on the table. So you don't want to double down and go, I need to draft Cam Ward at 104 and then go, I hope he's better than CJ Stroud and Tua, because the odds that he is right away is low. So now you just have 3 QBs, right. You don't actually fix your team. So just,
what are you thinking here? 102, 104, 109. Like, where's your, we'll talk roster review in a second.
My answer was ride with the QBs you have and just get the best skill players you can with the other picks. You can trade your picks. You can trade back. You can trade to the future. doesn't matter. But I'm not considering a QB here. You've built this team around those 2 QBs. Unless you can cash in at their supposed market rate, then this isn't the time.
Yeah. Were you going to say something, Shane? Sorry, I wasn't.
Back to the future.
Back to the future. Here, this is actually a good time because I was looking at that question and thinking about roster reviews and how we could really get in the weeds with it. Scott and Shane do them. They do them well. We've gotten a bunch of inquiries over at the Dynasty Trades in 5 machine. If you email rosterreview@dynastytradesin5.com, you should ask about the roster reviews that Shane and Scott do. They spend 45 minutes to an hour in the room with you. They can do recorded ones as well, but in the room with you, they can really dig into your team. You know, they could be giving you advice on like getting a quarterback, getting this quarterback. Hey, I already tried that. There's context that you can't figure out just off of a piece of paper, even though we do have a pretty in-depth intake form to get an idea of the background. But guys, do you want to chime in about your roster reviews at all? I mean, we have never heard a bad thing about them. Let's say that. And we are known in the industry for your reviews.
I would say that a lot of times when you see comments in the chat about people that won titles, it's generally people that we've had roster reviews with. And I don't, I'm not going to say that's just because me and Scott reviewed their rosters, but it's because me and Scott reviewed their rosters. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not good at selling myself, but we're good at it. We are really, really good at it. It's, it's easier for anyone to, I think, to look at take an outside view of something from 40,000 feet and come up with ideas. But I think we are really, really good at integrating that into your specific league, giving you actual actionable, things that you could actionally do. That's why they're actionable. Giving you things that you can do that are, might not seem like giant moves, not all of them, but, I don't know. I'm not good at this. Scott, you go.
No, you're fine. I was constantly looking at the ring light, trying to get it on your pupils. Go ahead, Scott.
And I think you combined the word actually and action, and you turned it into actionally, which is a nice combo there to describe what we actually do. I think with the reviews, the biggest benefit is we can take a non-invested, non-biased view of your team. So we can look at the players. Everybody in this chat right now can look at your team. If you post it and they can go, that's a good team. You should trade player X. You should buy player Y. That's not that hard. I think where people need outside perspective is when we truly start looking at the other teams. And Shane and I do it differently too. Like we'll start asking about, does that team trade? Identifying where kind of the soft spots and where the economy is in your league is really where you make headway. It's not, I'm never going to be the analyst that says I know what's going to happen. If anything, I'm the opposite. I've taken away that approach probably too much out of my game because there's a lot that I'm not great at forecasting and a lot of people aren't either. So I don't even try. It's like, the ranges of outcomes for these players could be this, but really where the edge might be is taking this strategy because this is where your team or your league is set up. That's true. We will be honest.
From Kookski, they will be brutally honest and then bring you home with actionally guidance.
Oh yeah,
that's fantastic.
I love it.
Nicely done, Kookski. No, good stuff there. Yeah, so email rosterreview@dynastytradesin5.com and we will hook you up with details. All right, cheers. Let's move to this one. Oh, this was CC. Let's get somebody else up on the screen. Sorry about that little teaser. We already answered one from you. Caleb Williams or Bryce Young? Asks Hunter Meek.
Caleb Williams.
Yeah, that's
not
not
very,
that's not
no. It's
yet.
The reason it's Caleb is because even though Caleb is seen as kind of having a disappointing rookie year, I was actually just looking at this the other day. He has 5 games where he's finished as a top 8 quarterback. He has 3 games higher than Bryce Young's best game ever. And Bryce Young's played double the amount of games. And I know he got benched and I know he was better. I think 2 of Bryce's 3 best games have come in the last 10 weeks. So clearly he got better. But I think if you're just looking at, here's the thing, Shane, even if Caleb doesn't get that much better, he's just going to have better fantasy games. You know what I mean? He's going to be more likely to be in the fuck it game where he just needs to put up points. Whereas that's probably not Bryce Young. I know he had does the week 18 Bryce Young QB1 game count? Or does that just get screened out?
I mean,
It showed he can get there, right?
It's technically a football
there.
game, right? But I
Yeah.
will say this: whenever I'm looking up stats,
Those are
week
squeezed
18
off.
is always never included. It's always never included. I go, no, that's not during the fantasy season in any capacity, so it doesn't count. So it doesn't matter to me. I think people are little too down on. Sorry, they're a little too down on Caleb. Now, I think it's partly like the expectations were probably outsized. You know, we expected him to be a QB1 right off the bat, and that's not what he was. But he had some really good weeks. Yes, he had some struggles as a rookie quarterback will do, but he also had Shane Waldron as his offensive coordinator, and then he had that other goofball as an offensive coordinator who became the head coach, who only looked somewhat better when Dipshit was still there, and then they fired Dipshit and made him the head coach, and we realized he's also bad at this. So he really had some things working against him now.
And he had 500 rushing yards. Bryce Young averages like 13 rushing yards a game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just there's a different element there that Bryce probably doesn't possess. I do think the real debate in the NFL circles is like, is Bryce better than Caleb? Like, and I don't think that's, if you were starting your team trying to win NFL games, I think it's probably pretty close. But fantasy-wise, it's not.
Yeah, I wonder if Caleb Williams is going to turn out to be like another T-Law who's got like a really long leash, but
He just needs their latest interview, Pete Carroll.
Needs Pete Carroll.
That's who's going to unlock the offense.
Oh gosh.
Dude, I don't know what the Bears are doing. I got to say this, man. It's really
They tried to get Mike McCarthy and got blocked.
Oh.
So there, yeah. Let's go with Pete Carroll next.
You have to be at
lost there for a
least
second.
you have to be at least 65 to get
Is
the job.
Lou Holtz available? Let's get Lou Holtz in here. I'll say this: there is a reason to be concerned about Caleb's future, just because the Chicago Bears. It's not just their coaching; it's their front office and their ownership. Apparently, are just brain dead and doing everything they can to fail.
Good stuff. All right. Oh, there's the 2 of 2 from Jason. Good stuff. Thank you. So we got a super chat from Jason in the crowd. Thank you very much. This is a 12-team super flex PPR 1.5 for the tight end start 9, and it's a 6-point per passing touchdown. Burrow, May, Penix at quarterback, Chase, JJ, CD, T. Higgins, JSN, and then has Chuba Hubbard, Swift, Jonathan Brooks, and Trash at running back. Kincaid and Kraft at tight end. Has the 105, 112. Says neither pick is his. Looking to win next year. The 2 of 2 is, should I use my picks to upgrade at QB2? Allen is on the block. Draft running back or buy a hammer running back. Bowers and McBride not available. Or should he just hold? Basically, what are we doing with this team? Scott, 12 by 9, small tight end premium, 6-point. Has the 105, 112. Looking to win it next year.
Well, he says Bowers and McBride are not available, so I'm fine just rolling with Kincaid and Kraft. It's not great, but I could live with both of those guys, so I'm good there. I mean, the receivers are ridiculous. You know, you're literally benching one of JSN or T. Higgins every week, unless, I mean, you could probably start, 4 and a start 9?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, receivers are good. You don't need to do anything. I think you can just roll with those 5. I think that this would be a real fun team, Shane, if I somehow could upgrade from – can I upgrade from Drake May or even Burrow and just roll with – I don't want to break up –
You've got the stack.
I don't want to break up Burrow, Chase, and Higgins if they stay together. You've already got it. It probably helped you win or get you close to winning this year, so I'm good keeping that. This would almost be a team where, man, if I could get my hands on Allen, even if it costs me a first, May, like this will be a fun team where you just roll with anything at running back that you can get your hands on, and your other
hammer
your 5 receivers and your 2 QBs are just, they're rocking every week. You know what I mean? The problem is you can only start 4 receivers. Like really, you're sitting Higgins or JSN every week, which is crazy.
I anytime that Allen's on the board, you have to investigate it, right? Like anytime Allen, Lamar, or Jalen Hurts are on the board, like how do you not investigate it? How do you not at least look into it and go, am I able to pull this off without absolutely gutting my roster? Because, and Yeah, those three. And I guess Jaden Daniels, you can throw him in there. Like those are like the quarterbacks that are absolute needle movers. Like absolutely, like those are the dudes that can score 5 touchdowns in a game, or you know what I mean, and not just once. Do it a couple times, and give you a ton of rushing yards. So they're even getting the points, or not the points, but they're getting yardage in a way that's more conducive to fantasy production. So yeah, you have to at least look into it. Now,
would you give May the 105 and JSN?
Yes.
For Josh Allen.
Yes, it's a start 9.
Or T Higgins would be nice.
No.
To get, I mean,
you know what I like about this receiver room? These are the only 5 I need to roster.
Mm-hmm.
You can start 4. I have 5. That's as efficient and slim as possible. You never need to have another receiver unless it's a trade piece. So, I mean, yes, sure, I'd rather give the 112 and that deal instead of Higgins or JSN. I'd even do the 105.
Well, the 105.
Yeah, that's what it was. This 105 May. And
can you do the both picks? Both
in
picks
May?
in May and get it done that way?
Yeah, if you could do that, obviously you'd prefer to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
105 in May, and you're 26 first, because what do you care? Your 26 first is going to be the 109, the 112.
The key with that deal is you're consolidating at quarterback, you're consolidating at receiver, and you already have your 2 tight ends. So let's just say you have Burrow, Allen, Penix, those 5 receivers, and those 2 tight ends. Those are the 10 players you have at quarterback, receiver, and tight end. Not a single player otherwise. Every other player you're rostering is a running back. The only way I'm rostering a bunch of backup QBs too is if I can maybe move Penix for another asset. Then I'll roster those. But I think you can win this with what you have. It's a nicely built team.
Yeah, definitely. I dig it. Stay in touch, Jason. We know you will. I've seen you on these streams before. We haven't said hi to the crowd. 56 minutes in, 211 eyeballs. Hit that like if you'd be so kind. Easiest way to help out the channel. And if you're this far in, maybe we earned your business. You can hit that subscribe button as well. Or maybe we've already earned your business with the subscribe and we can upgrade to hitting the notification bell. What do you think, Shane? Is that going a little too aggressive in our course to, go into the A?
I prefer people hit the share button to all their socials.
The share is actually I don't think the like really does anything with the algorithm. The share definitely has more juice.
I think both of them do, but there's no reason you can't do all 3 of those things. Turn on the notifications, subscribe, and share.
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
when you get to work, load the videos on every one of your coworkers' screens and then lock it when it plays through.
No, put on a playlist. Put on a live stream playlist.
I am part of my son's basketball team. We have a group chat, right, for our kids, all the parents. And sometimes I'll just periodically just accidentally share a video. Oh, guys, I don't know how that got in there. Wrong text. Whatever. Maybe I get a view. Maybe I don't.
Oh man!
You tell all your kids' parents to make sure you play through the entire video too. Let it run.
Click on the card. Okay, let's go. Yeah, we'll put this back up from CC with the firewood meat. Love the show, gents. Happy New Year. Which vet running backs, wide receivers, and quarterbacks would you rather have than the 105 through 110? Vet running backs. Which ones would you rather have? The big ones, Gibbs,
Bijan, Chain, Gibbs. Who am I forgetting?
Yeah, there's someone.
Are we talking super flex here? I assume.
Yeah, we're talking super flex
because he does say QBs. I mean, right now, the number of players that are higher than that 105, you would say, which is the start of the mid first.
Mm-hmm.
On keep trade cut, you're sitting right around 40.
Really,
so that's where I think that's where you start getting into the who would you rather have of Michael Penix or the 105? You know what I mean? A bunch of running backs, Brock Purdy there's a lot of quarterbacks because I think people immediately think of the 105. I'm not going to get a quarterback. So I would rather take all these quarterbacks over the 105. You know what I mean? They're looking at it very much like it's quarterback for quarterback, running back for running back. Are you really taking James Cook over the RB2 in this class? But according to Keep Trade Cut, like James Cook is better because he's known, he was good. You know what I mean? But if I'm just playing, okay, the RB2 is going to be there at 105, I'd probably rather have that pick. You know what I mean? So it's probably much higher. I mean, Garrett Wilson or the 105, Shane. Is Garrett Wilson still a very highly valued receiver? I mean, he's wide receiver 13 still, but it feels like a reroll might be a better option.
I still think he's going to be highly valued because he did have that stretch there where we saw what it could be like, right? We saw not the 27 target game because anyone can score points in that game, but the few games outside of that where it seemed like Aaron Rodgers didn't have his head up his ass. He seemed, I mean, but that's also
the average is 164 targets a year in his career. I mean, the dude, you can't complain he doesn't get the ball.
No, and it's never been, you know what?
It's just been a shitty quality ball.
It's the quality of the targets, right? Like this is a guy that I almost would rather see him get 130 targets if they were better. But, you know, by the same token, how many targets did Malik Neighbors have this year? And he absolutely dusted the world. And the target quality could not have been great. I don't know the efficiency or the EPA metrics on Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock. Who else? What other shithole did they have in there? Tim Boyle.
I just can't believe you don't know those numbers, those stats.
We're talking the Jets, which are worse.
Yeah, well, I'm saying Neighbors has to be up there. Though, right? His quarterbacks, like they have to be just or down there, whichever way you want to say it, just as bad. But anyway, I take the pick. It's more flexible. Yeah. It's like because Wilson at this point is an acquired taste, right? Because he has turned some people off. Or some people are like, all right, what's this year 4 now? And he hasn't given us that wide receiver 1 season that we expected. So now it's time to move on. Because historically, if you haven't done it, you're not going to at that point.
I mean, think about this. He did get boosted with touchdowns, but like guys like Cortland Sutton and Terry McLaurin didn't get the targets Garrett Wilson did, but were just as good or better. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then you look at somebody like T. Higgins, you're like, T. Higgins doesn't need 160 targets. He can be a wide receiver 1 with 130.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It just feels like,
I mean, look at
do you want Garrett Wilson to leave the Jets, Shane, or are you confident they will get a better quarterback than what they've had?
I'm not. That's another fucking clown show because they're out here interviewing Rex Ryan and I don't even know. They've got their ex-GM who they fired, helping them look for a GM, which is fucking hilarious, and coach. That's another shit show, right? Like, I know you shouldn't just completely avoid organizations.
He's so good. I want him elsewhere.
I mean, what do they do at quarterback? Because I tell you now, Sam Darnold is not going back to the Jets. Like that's like going back to the unless
Adam Gase.
Unless there's a world where it's like going back to your ex and it's like you're promised their parents' fortune. You know what I mean? That's the only way you're getting remarried to the ex you divorced already. And so,
absolutely,
what are they getting at quarterback? Because they're not picking in the top 8. And
Justin Fields.
How are you feeling about Garrett Wilson?
I'd feel a lot better because you know what Justin Fields did for DJ Moore?
He did boost DJ Moore, yes.
So we know he will at least hyper target his 1 receiving option because Devonta Adams isn't going to be there. So I'd feel pretty good there. But that's a very slim, that's a very thin hole that you need to needle. You know what I mean? Like Justin Fields or I don't even know what other.
How about they sign the tandem of Fields and Jameis Winston? I could live with that, couldn't you? Because one of the two would create points.
Absolutely. I could deal with that. Yes, I would be happy.
I kind of am excited now about that type. That's the kind of QB room they're going to have. It's going to be just knockoff brands because they don't have any.
Does Ray know anyone over at the 33rd team? Maybe we could get interviewed for the Jets GM position, and then we could just make these trades.
Yeah.
Or signings. We don't even have to trade capital. We just tell Aaron, thank you for your time. We'd appreciate if you'd not come back to the building. And then just go sign Jameis and Justin Fields. There you go.
You don't come back to the building.
Yeah.
We have a big super chat from EVDiz17, $50. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Hello, everyone. It is I, the back-to-back champ. Congrats. Donating 3% of my winnings to you beautiful bastards. You earned it. You probably earned the other 97% as well. But what can I say? I'm a schmuck. Thanks for all you do. Sirianni's a dweeb. Go Lions. Appreciate it. That's awesome. He's tithing to Dynasty Trades in 5.
I like it. We're Mormon
Very
now.
cool.
Cool.
We're Mormon now? Wait,
Yeah,
what?
that's what Mormons do, right? They tithe.
Isn't like tithing, isn't that just a thing? Like you
Is that
donate to the church? I just thought that was like a universal thing. It wasn't like,
Is it the Amish? It might be the
somebody in
Amish.
the crowd confirmed that. I don't want to disrespect religion, and I don't know anything about it, but I thought tithe was just like a general term. Yeah, we could also just not care about it and move on. EVDiz17, if you want, throw a question in the crowd in the chat as well, and we'll put it up there. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see here. Ricardo Martinez, Mr. Martinez asks, what's the highest pick you'd pay for Bucky Irving and Chase Brown? Let's start with Bucky Irving. Shane, are you going to give up the 106 for Bucky Irving?
Just did a mock draft. So I should remember who I took at 106. No, not in our leagues, because that's going to be Tyler Warren. And I'd rather have Tyler Warren in a tight end premium than Bucky Irving.
Interesting. Scott, 106 or Bucky Irving, then we're going to move to Chase Brown.
I mean, I'll just answer both. I don't think you get them for any cheaper, but if I have one of those picks, just doesn't. You know, you get that dopamine hit when you say trade's been completed. You get that alert.
Oh, yeah.
Like now seeing that my 106 is gone and I have Chase Brown or Bucky Irving on my roster, it just doesn't feel like that does it for me over the next couple weeks or next couple months. So I think
So what was your answer? No.
It's probably a later first. It's probably 109, 110, 111, 112, and you're not probably getting them for
right
prices. Yeah, you're not getting them for that.
And I don't want to give up the 106, 107 for him, 108. Like we could start talking like 109, 110. Then I'll think harder about giving them up.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
but there's been
108, 109. I could be
There have been
Bucky.
We have to remember Bucky Irving historically is the type of profile that is risky.
Yes.
We seem to forget, like, okay, this guy was a second round, can't miss running back that dominated, yet actually he wasn't. He was, I'm not saying that he's going to fail, but I think we have to remember there's a reason that there are base rates and historical data to say, okay, Bucky Irving was a 4th round pick that is not a perfect prospect. So if would you be shocked, Shane, if last year was Bucky Irving's best season?
Like there's and that's part of my concern with him is that first of all, Rachaad White is not as bad as we make him sound, right? And Rachaad White's still there. If Rachaad White's a little more efficient next year, Rachaad White's going to take work away from Bucky. And then guess what? He's this year's Bucky and Bucky's next year Rachaad White. You know what I mean? And then how you feeling about
what if they draft a running back?
And
it's one that you're not going to like.
We were talking about that last night. We were like, they could.
We just assume they're going to be rational and not take a running back. Right. But what if they do? You know what I mean?
And I know how good Chase Brown was this year, right? And it's hard to put that genie in the bottle. But don't forget, they purposely signed Zach Moss to be at least in a 50-50 split on that team, at least a 50-50 split. And the only reason Chase Brown got 100% of the run is because did you see the running backs that were left on that team after Zach Moss went down? It was
Ryan still gets some touches. Am I right?
No. Thankfully, they got Khalil Herbert for a 7th rounder, and he looked respectable. But Travion Williams and Kendall Milton, yes, you've never seen them ever before for a reason.
Yes.
Getting tired.
They're good. They're good running backs, but I actually think, Chase Brown's going to get competition, but he's probably better than whoever they get, but he's not going to have the same work.
And if I want a running back, like this class is so deep at running back, I'm getting like the running back 3 at 106, right? So I'm getting Genty, Caleb Johnson, not Genty, not those two, but like who's your running back 3? Hampton.
But Shane, it's like, okay,
doesn't matter almost.
There's a 7 over here, and you have to date him for 6 months versus the mystery box. You know what I mean? You're kind of like, I'll just take Chase Brown because I know he's good. You know what I mean? And the mystery box could be a player that I'm not sure of. But it's just right now, I don't want to use my picks in that way.
It's only going to go up and down.
So the real life equivalent of that is like you're on a dating app, right? And someone that's kind of meh likes you and you're like, fuck it, I'll like him back. And you talk to him for like 3 days and you're like, I can't fucking do this. I can't. Like, I don't care. I'd rather not fuck anyone than fuck someone I don't really want to bang. So just, I'm going to just delete this chat. So that basically.
Personal stories there, huh, Shane?
No, I've heard.
Never had that happen to you.
Yeah, so you could hear Shane say that on YouTube and also on Spotify and Apple Pod. Make sure you follow us over there as well. It'll be loaded up. It'll be loaded up, ready to roll when you get in the car in the morning.
Dude, the Shane online dating stage was just great streaming. There was like a window of a year in there where it was just story after story.
I almost want to get back into it just for the content.
You should.
But
don't be selfish.
Fine, I'll undelete.
There's a gap in those AMA questions, Shane.
Yeah, all right.
You don't have the current event experience to be able to speak to it.
All right, let's get the content game back up. All right.
All right, we got to knock out a couple more hammers here. We got 19 minutes left, something along those lines. So, Nick, thank you for your hammer. This is gonna be tough to read. A 12-team Superflex.
PPR.
Yeah, 12-team Superflex. It's a start 12, 2 of which are tight ends, and it's 2.0 for those tight ends. Okay. Quarterbacks are Josh Allen, Lamar. Running backs are Kyron, Henry, Tracy, Rashad White. Wide receivers, Amon-Ra, Jefferson, Nico, Debo, Hollywood. And then Tess Goddard. I know it's tight ends, but it just read funny. Tight ends are Goddard and McBride.
Would you just real quick, would you list McBride after Goddard?
No,
I would not. Not. Yeah.
Just made 2 moves. Received Lamar and Henry for the 101, 109, and a late 26 first. Seemed like a smash. Then traded Kyler, Jaden Reed, and Komet for McBride. Like this trade and the other moves, still have my 26 first. Okay. So going back here, again, this is a deep format. All right, let me spit it out. 12-team Superflex. It's PPR, but it's 2.0 for the tight ends, and you have to start 2 tight ends, and it's start 12 total. This is a very, very deep, serious format. What are you shaking your head, Scott? Go ahead.
Well, you know who the fish in this league is the one that just saw you get Lamar and then bailed you out and gave you McBride for your Kyler, who clearly then is an extra QB. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, you may say, okay, I had to give up Kyler. It's 2 PPR and start 2 tight ends. I mean, McBride arguably is the 101 or 102 in the startup.
Yeah.
Almost higher than a quarterback because they're so hard.
Most quarterbacks, he's up above most quarterbacks.
So you basically just stole like those 2 deals combined where you ended up getting Allen and McBride and you gave up 6 assets. And I get it. It's a start 12. So those extra assets probably help somebody else, but yeah, great.
Yeah. I like those deals.
I mean, what did you give up here? Jaden Reed and Cole Kmet. You know what I mean? Like the right roster, that's a decent haul, but for your team, I'm totally fine paying it.
Yeah. That's a serious format right there. That's legit. Okay. Let's keep moving here. Thank you for that hammer, Nick. Appreciate it. And then we have one more while I'm in this folder. And this was, I didn't know if he was expecting to get on the screen. I answered him on buymeacoffee.com, but can you all do a show specifically that focuses on best ball? Would love to get your thoughts on how to prep for a draft, roster construction, and trade values versus lineup. Y'all are the best. Yeah, I mean, we can make this happen. We can talk about it offline, Scott, but I don't know if this is like a 30-minute pop-up kind of stream that we do and I just host you and you talk about this, or Shane, or vice versa. We can figure it out. We can make this happen for Kobe, right?
I am going to do a roster construction pod, but I would actually love to come on and actually focus on, like, if you wanted to do a separate show that was like, bring your best ball questions, hammers, super chats, whatever, and like,
let's do it.
Focus it on that. And Shane's playing some best ball because he's forced to by me. So
well, I got it. I took my lumps last year. Like I said, I punt it in every best ball league I have. And I have a lot of picks in those. So I want to see how that turns out. And I actually just joined a best ball league on my own.
Congratulations.
Not on purpose. I was invited to a league. I joined it. Then they told me it was best ball, and I was like, "Ah, shit! Like I don't want to be
Paid, started, drafted
No, I
10
didn't-
rounds, and then
none of that. None of that. But I was like, you know what I mean? Like once you're in the room, I kind of like I didn't want to be like, oh fuck, I'm out. You know what I mean? Plus, it was someone from the Discord that I'm not in any leagues with. So they're like, dude, we got to do this. I'm like, all right, I'll stick around. But it's a best ball auction. So yeah, I took my lumps last year. But this year, I'm looking to compete in these leagues.
So Shane will be tuning in for the best ball roster construction show.
Damn right.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll make that happen. Thanks for that hammer, Kobe. All right. We are going to keep moving here to the comments. All right, this one got my attention. I saw luxury in quotes. This is from Leaf Green Goblin. Shane, do you guys approach luxury picks differently? I was the number one that swapped their 26 first for a 25, and it's the 102. Okay, should I pick purely on upside or try to get a stud? Haven't liked the offers so far. I'm a little confused. I was the number one, the 101. Go ahead. Somebody explain this, man.
I think he probably was seen as a bad team and traded his 25 second or 25 first or 26 first for a 25, and the 25 ended up being
turned up
a great pick for him, the 102. So basically, I think we can read it as he didn't pay the price of the 102 to get it, and now the market is not.
Yeah, he paid his 26 first. He
paid
his 26 first. Someone overshot what their team was going to be, and he ended up with the 102. I love that.
So it's kind of house money kind of style.
Yeah.
But
does that change how you value the pick? Though,
no,
Shane? Just because you got it 30% cheaper doesn't mean you are more willing or less willing to trade it, right?
No. And I will say this. So if I have like 4 firsts, maybe I'm a little more loose with those later firsts, as far as in packaging. But the 102, I'm not going to be all loose with. So no, and just in general, I would prefer to trade for a known with the 102 than an unknown.
How does that work with dating, Shane?
Trading
more dates, are you more or less loose?
Loose. It's the first date.
Right off the bat.
Like literally, it's the first date. It's whatever.
All the other ones after might cancel, so you gotta roll when it's available.
You got to get it in, and then just anyway.
Okay.
I mean, we'll talk obviously over the next 3 months about what that 102 is worth. I'm guessing the excitement for another player not named Genty has not hit its peak yet, and so
and it will, right? It's going to be one of these other. It's going to be one of these other running backs. I think we're going to end up probably seeing like this might be weird, and this is just speculation at this point, and it's in tight end premium leagues. We might go 6 picks before we see a wide receiver or quarterback go off the board. Like we might legitimately see that in tight end premium leagues.
Love it. All right, let's keep going here. So from J-Rod, all right, let's put Big Diaz Energy. What's up, man? Best ball startup, assume our standard settings, no trading. After going chalk for the first 3 rounds of the 10. Okay. After going chalk for the first 3 rounds, the 101 to 104 go off the board and it's all flat. Should I just keep taking rookie picks? What do you think here, Scott?
No, this is and I'll give credit to Big DS. He asked me to do a roster construction series on best ball for this reason. One thing that I've learned is that, especially if you're just looking at last year's results, the receiver production in this range, it's very easy to replace. Now, I'm not saying you don't want to get good receivers, but I'm more focused on drafting. If I have to make picks, I'm looking at the assets of what is going to be more flexible when things might not be exactly what I think they're going to be, right? Because there's always receivers where you go, okay, I didn't expect them to have a role, and they do. And best ball, you have no problem having a guy like Elijah Moore, Jawan Jennings, you know what I mean? They're great assets. But you probably have to have a process to get to where those guys are firing in your lineup. And it usually means in the startup, you probably have to have assets that you can move in those types of deals. Assets that if they don't come out and produce, can I do anything with them?
Can you still do something with it?
Like a bunch of receivers that we thought were going to be good, but then they weren't. You can't even trade them. You know what I mean? Like you literally can't move them. because you're immediately going like, oh, I'd love to get something for, I don't know, pick a random receiver that was disappointing this year for
Xavier Legette.
Go even better than that to start the year, but then they weren't necessarily producing. So think of like, I don't know, think of Christian Watson type, right? You're thinking he's great for best ball. Then the season starts and you're like, but he's not doing anything. So what I've found in best ball is assets have even less dynasty value. You know what I mean? It's like an asset like Christian Watson beginning of the season, it wasn't even an asset. People are like, oh, what receiver is out producing him the last 2 weeks? Oh, it's I don't know, Elijah Moore. Give me him. They're the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So draft assets. Like think about what it takes to win. You need to fill up every one of your roster spots for the most part with active players. You're gonna need to tier down. You're not gonna nail all 30 of your startup picks.
Good stuff there, Scott. Okay, let's go to this one right here. J-Rod 3731. What's the 101 worth in a 1 QB? Should I trade down or trade for an established player or hold and make the pick?
I would trade down as far as the 103. That's about as far as I would go. And I would need to get back the 104 along with it.
How many players would you trade the 101 for in a 1 QB, Shane?
So many.
It's less than 10, right?
In a 1 QB, well, it's the big 3 running backs. It's because I can't remember the 4th. Right? I'm not.
Are you really taking? Are you taking Breece Hall over Genty?
I didn't count him.
No, he's talking Achan.
I ain't taking Achan over Genty. No way.
I'll take Bijan. I'll take Gibbs. There's someone else I'm forgetting. I don't know.
I'm not taking Saquon over the 101 either.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
That's it. Gibbs and Bijan.
Oh, I'm taking JJ over him. I'm taking CD Lamb. I'm taking Justin Jefferson. I'm taking
BTJ.
Malik. I might take BTJ. I don't know. Maybe.
You just named 8 players.
Okay, then I'll keep
going. Bowers.
Amon-Ra or Puka over 101?
Puka.
Okay.
Bowers.
Non-tight end premium. You taking Bowers or McBride?
15 points a game.
I think I still am. I don't
know.
It's not even a dozen players, right?
Yeah, it's very
so it's like
list.
There's about 8 to 10 players you'd trade the 101 for and send the pick out for those guys. They're all going to decline. Yeah. And then you're back to where you are right now, where I'm not trading yet.
I pick Genty. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Let's keep going. We've got a couple more minutes left. Let's go to Dax Suntkin. What would you add to the 103 to get the 101 in a 12-team super flex, no tight end premium, but it's start 13? You've never played in a start 13. It gets so gross. You're just looking for hearts that are beating. What are you adding to the 103 to get to the 101?
But the other part of this is the difference between the 101 and the 103 right now feels like an absolute golf, like the Gulf of America. That's what it feels like. Really,
but with 13 starters, though, it really flattens how big that gap actually is because the threshold of how many players you're starting is so high. Like, sure, when you hit on the positional advantage, it's huge.
Right.
But if all you have is just like a Garrett Wilson type, yeah, he was a positional advantage, but not enough to where I'm adding another starter to get 3% more production. You know what I mean? Like that
that's probably
26 first in the 103. You doing that in a start 13? That feels like, man, I'd rather just buy another starter with the first.
That feels egregious. Like that's absolutely egregious.
But you wouldn't blame the 101 for asking for that.
No, they should. They absolutely should. I'll say I'd be comfortable adding a 2nd round pick.
You're not gonna, and you won't get there. Would you go as big as giving up like the 103? He's kind of just a name, but 103 and Jalen Waddle to get the 101.
No, because people are creaming themselves talking about Waddle's upside now that Tyreek Hill may or may not be leaving.
I was trying to think of a different person, but
how about a guy that people don't like anymore, even though he's probably as good? How about DK Metcalf, a 2nd and the 103? Because DK is a valuable starter, even if he gives you 14 points per game. It feels like you are
And start 13. I'm gonna hold on to DK there. I'll give you a second. That's literally all you're getting from me. Oh, Kukski said Chris Olave. That's
I was just gonna say Olave in the 103 or the 101.
I'd be willing to move Olave because what did I say? I said a second round pick, right? So, and I loved Olave, but it's probably about his value, right?
Ask for a third back.
I think the other thing that we probably think about is players are more valuable here because like you're not buying the Olaves in a start 13 for a second because the guy with him is still going, dude, he's a starter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
That's a tough format that I will just say I'm in a 12 by 15. The market in terms of like, it's deeper rosters. It's 35-man rosters, but the best teams are the ones where you look and it's like they have 23 good players. They don't have to be great.
Yeah.
They just have to be like, oh, cool. I have a random, Elijah Moore and Mike Gesicki chilling on my bench. Hell yeah. Like you just need enough of those guys. And in that league, it's been going for 5 years. You know how many trades I've seen where somebody gives 3 starters for a tier up?
0.
Never, ever. Like no one even bothers to propose it because it's like, oh, they're not going to trade me Bijan for that cheap. It's like, well, yeah, but no one's ever paying what it would cost. So it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Connor Lineberry says, what's up, boys? Won my first fantasy championship this season. Thanks for all the info you share to help us out each season. Hey, congrats, man. That's kick-ass. It's a great feeling. It's no doubt it's a great feeling when you win a fantasy ship. Yep. Let's just do another one here from Garrett K. Thank you for the question. Let's see. 12-team Superflex PPR 1.75 for the tight end start 10. Have Herbert, Nix, Caleb at quarterback, JJ, Waddle, Adunze at wide receiver. Rebuilding 325 first, 326 first. What's enough in return for Caleb? Would you do a mid 25 first and an early to mid 26 first? Would you trade away Caleb for a mid 20? Yes.
With that roster, when he's your
you already have Herbert
QB,
next.
Yeah, all day.
Yeah. So would you do that, Shane? Would you give a mid 25 first and an early to mid 26 first for Caleb?
I'm rebuilding hard. I would split just about any quarterback on that roster for 2 firsts. You want Nix 2 firsts, sure. Caleb 2 firsts, sure. Herbert 2 firsts, sure. And it's not that I don't like any of those players. It's just that I need the flexibility. I need the picks more than I do that specific one player.
We'll talk real quick a little bit more about that. It's you actually don't want risky assets, right?
Oh no.
And like all those assets you have are risky because they're a player and we know how volatile the quarterback market is. Like I don't need all 3 of those QBs. Hell, would you trade 2 of them, Shane, if you got the same exact deal?
I would literally trade all 3 of them. I'm rebuilding. I don't give a fuck if I win a game next year.
Give me 6. Give me all the
Yeah, I do not give it I don't care how an 0-13 season would affect my overall portfolio standing. I want the 101. And if I need to get there because I have no fucking quarterbacks, fine. Now, obviously, that's probably not a great plan because then in 2026, I'm going to be drafting all quarterbacks and it's probably going to be like Quinn Ewers and Drew Allar and their 7th-year seniors. And you're like, oh, this class is worse than last year. I don't know. I have no idea who's in 2026. Arch Manning can come out? No.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. I'm fine. I'll draft Arch Manning at 101 and I'm fine.
Drew Allar is about to come out in this class.
I thought he said he was going to stay.
He said he was going to stay
until
he tears up the playoff and people go, oh, he's going to go in the top 15. Gone.
But just taking it back to that, I would trade up to 2 of those quarterbacks, not all 3. I got to have at least
I'm with that
for when I add Arch Manning to the roster and we're ready to compete in 2026.
Ready to smash in 26. Okay, let's go to. Oh, I just wanted to put this up so we can, the whole crowd and the 3 of us can wish them luck. Evening, gents from Bindles, doing my first startup of 25 tomorrow. Congratulations and good luck. I'm jealous. That's where my head went. Not only because I'm exhausted, but just congratulations and I'm jealous. What's up, Shane?
No, man. I've got a couple starting sometime in the near future. I joined 2 after leaving a couple MFL leagues. So, yeah, that'll be fun.
Well, we're
Good
gonna
luck,
do
dude.
that. We're gonna do that one that I told you about, the listener league where those people have been waiting on the sidelines, the JJZ one. So we'll get that fired up. And I sure as hell won't be the commish. Good Lord. Oh boy. Okay. We are going to call it a night to the 236 eyeballs in here. Don't forget to hit that like, but guys, would you like to say bye to the crowd?
Good stream. Nice mix of strategy, trade,
Yeah.
kind of some future forecasting for 2025. So appreciate everybody in here. Back to over 200 consistently. Keep the questions coming. Thank you for the super chats. A couple people that put them in there, all the hammers. Yeah, feeling good. That's all I got.
Thanks. Have a good evening.
Sounds good.
Swipe
That'll
left.
work. Swipe left. Yeah. Shane's busy. He decided he does need to be more aggressive on the dating.
Need
apps.
more content.
Yeah, need more content. There we go. All right, I'm going to end this stream. We will see you next time.